Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something today that might just change how you handle people who thought they could play with your worth. You see, in life, people will test you. They will leave you, ignore you, and think you'll sit there waiting for them to come back. But the real game changer, act like they never existed. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something today. There's a power in silence that no loud argument, no emotional outburst, no dramatic plea can ever match. Silence is not weakness. Silence is strategy. Silence is strength under control. You see, when someone hurts you, disrespects you, or walks away thinking you will chase them, your first instinct is to react. You want to call them, text them, explain yourself, ask them why they did it, and demand answers. That's human nature. But the moment you react, you hand over your power. You let them know they still control your emotions, your peace, your day, your sleep, and even your self-esteem. That's the trap so many fall into. They think speaking up will bring them peace, but in reality, it feeds the other person's ego. It shows them that even after everything, they still matter more than your own dignity. But when you go silent, when you refuse to react, that's when everything shifts. Silence forces people to sit with themselves. Silence makes them question. Silence creates space for them to hear their own conscience without your voice clouding it. It's like cutting off the oxygen supply. When you stop feeding the situation with attention, it dies. It cannot survive without your energy fueling it. That is the real power move, not in what you say, but in what you choose not to say. Think about it. When you don't answer that call, when you ignore that message, when you don't show up to argue, you create a mystery. And people fear the unknown more than they fear your anger. Anger is familiar. They expect it, they prepare for it. But silence makes them uncomfortable because now they don't know where they stand. They don't know if you moved on, if you're planning something, or if you've stopped caring altogether. That uncertainty will eat at them. It will replay in their mind over and over again, making them wonder why you're so calm, so quiet, so unbothered. And the truth is, silence gives you time to heal. When you stay quiet, you give yourself the gift of peace. You allow your heart to settle, your mind to clear. You shift the focus from them back to yourself. And in that space of silence, you rebuild. You remember who you are. You start to see the situation not through the lens of pain, but through the eyes of wisdom. You realize that not every battle is worth fighting. Not every person deserves a reaction, and not every offense needs a response. But make no mistake, silence is not passive. It is active self-control. It takes more strength to stay silent than to lash out. Anyone can react, but only the strong can pause and choose peace over chaos. That's why when you go silent, the tables turn. Suddenly, they're the ones checking their phone, wondering why you haven't called. They're the ones feeling anxious, not you. They start to feel the weight of their actions without you having to spell it out for them. And here's the best part. Silence protects your dignity. Words spoken in anger can be used against you. Text sent in pain can be screenshotted and shared. But silence leaves no evidence. It's clean, it's sharp, it's untouchable. Nobody can twist your silence. Nobody can argue with it. It stands strong on its own, making the loudest statement without a single word. So the next time someone tries to pull you into their storm, remember this. Don't feed the fire with your words. Starve it with your silence. Let your peace be the loudest noise they hear. Let them sit in the emptiness they created. And trust me, that silence will echo in their mind longer than any speech you could ever give. Because silence, my friends, is where real power lives. It's where respect is earned, boundaries are drawn, and self-worth is protected. So hold your silence like a crown, wear it with pride. Because when you master the art of silence, you master the art of power. Ladies and gentlemen, let me remind you today that your self-worth doesn't come from anyone else. It doesn't come from a man, a woman, a friend, a title, or a relationship. It comes from within you. Too many people are walking around every day looking for someone else to tell them they matter. They wait for that text, that compliment, that attention to feel valuable. But let me tell you something. The minute you start depending on someone else's approval to feel good about yourself, you've already handed over your power. You've given them the remote control to your confidence, your peace, your happiness. And when they decide to pull away, suddenly you feel empty, lost, broken. That's because you built your self-worth on shaky ground. But true self-worth, the kind that lasts, stands strong even when people walk away. It's easy to feel good when everybody's clapping for you. It's easy to smile when they're calling, texting, praising you. But the real test is how you feel about yourself when the phone is silent, when the compliments stop, when the people you thought would always be there suddenly disappear. That's when you find out whether you really know your own value. Because if your worth depends on outside validation, then you will always be a slave to other people's opinion. You'll rise and fall based on their moods, their attention, their presence. And that is no way to live. You've got to look in the mirror and know you are enough, even if nobody else says it. You've got to remind yourself that your value is not up for negotiation. It's not based on who stays or who leaves. People can't define your worth. Their actions reflect them, not you. When someone walks away, it doesn't reduce your value. When they ignore you, it doesn't make you smaller. It just reveals who they are. And it gives you a chance to stand taller, stronger, and more self-assured. When you know your worth, you stop chasing people. You stop begging for attention, for validation, for closure. You start choosing yourself. You start setting standards, drawing lines, and protecting your peace. You become a person who doesn't need to be constantly reminded of their value because you carry it within you. And let me tell you, nothing is more attractive, more powerful, more unshakable than a person who knows their worth and refuses to let anyone take it from them. Think about a diamond. A diamond doesn't lose its value just because someone fails to recognize its beauty. If someone overlooks it, the diamond doesn't become less precious. The same goes for you. Your worth is fixed, permanent, unchanging. It's not up for debate. And when you really believe that, you stop settling for less than you deserve. You stop allowing people to treat you like an option when you know you are a priority. You stop shrinking yourself to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. And the truth is, when you stand firm in your self-worth, the world responds differently. People sense it. They treat you with the respect you command because people mirror back to you the energy you send out. If you act like you're worth nothing, they'll treat you like you're worth nothing. But if you walk like you know you are valuable, if you speak like you know you are enough, then they have no choice but to adjust to your level. And if they can't, they'll fall away, and that's okay. Because someone who truly knows their worth doesn't fear loss. They understand that letting go of what doesn't serve them only makes space for what does. So don't wait for someone to come along and tell you that you matter. Don't depend on their presence to feel whole. You are whole. You are complete. And the moment you realize that, you free yourself from the cycle of seeking and chasing. You stand in your power. And from that place, you attract only what aligns with your value. Remember, your self-worth is yours. Own it, protect it, and never let anyone else hold the key. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a truth about human nature that many don't fully grasp until they experience it firsthand. When you stop giving someone the attention they expect from you, they begin to see you differently. We often think that attention is something we have to constantly give to others in order to keep their respect, their love, or their loyalty. But the opposite is actually true. When you withdraw your attention, when you stop chasing, when you stop responding to every call, every message, every need, that's when people start to truly respect you. Think about it. The more you give someone your time, your energy, your focus, the more they start to take it for granted. People don't value what they don't fear losing. If you're always available, always present, always giving, it becomes easy for others to forget your worth. They may begin to expect that you will always be there for them, no matter what, without understanding the cost. But when you stop making yourself so accessible, when you stop prioritizing them over yourself, they begin to realize the value of your presence. Withdrawing attention doesn't mean being cold or rude. It means recognizing your own value and choosing where to invest your energy. When you stop constantly seeking to please others, when you stop bending over backward to make everyone happy, something shifts. Suddenly, you're not just another person they can take advantage of. You become someone who has boundaries, someone who respects their own time and energy. And when you begin to respect yourself in that way, the world begins to respond differently. People start to see you as a force to be reckoned with. They start to see you as someone whose time is valuable, whose attention is not easily earned. And that is when respect is born. Now, don't mistake this for playing games or pretending to be someone you're not. It's not about manipulating others or making them chase you for the sake of it. It's about recognizing that you deserve the same level of respect you give to others. Too many people overextend themselves, giving so much of their energy to others that they forget to give it to themselves. They think that the more they give, the more they will receive in return. But the truth is, when you give too much without setting boundaries, you are teaching others to take you for granted. They stop seeing you as someone to be respected and start seeing you as someone they can use. When you pull back, when you stop responding immediately to every message or request, people start to notice. They start to ask themselves why you're not as available as you used to be. And that curiosity can only lead to one thing: respect. Because when you stop being constantly at their beck and call, they start to see you in a different light. They see that you are a person who has a life of your own, someone who can exist without them, someone who chooses how and when to show up, and that is powerful. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing that if you give enough of yourself to others, they will appreciate you. But respect isn't earned through constant availability. It's earned through self-respect, through boundaries, and through demonstrating that you are not someone who can be taken for granted. When you pull back and choose where to direct your energy, you show others that you are someone who understands their own worth. You don't need to be everywhere, do everything, or say yes to every request in order to be valued. In fact, by saying no, by taking a step back, you actually teach others how to treat you with the respect you deserve. People begin to understand that you are not someone to be overlooked. They start to value your presence, your time, your attention, and when they realize they can't have it all the time, that's when they start to want it more. It's like when you stop chasing after something you really want. The harder you chase, the further it moves away. But when you stop running after it, when you let go and focus on yourself, that's when it often comes to you naturally. This is not about playing hard to get or manipulating others. It's about owning your value and not being afraid to assert it. The more you respect your own time, the more others will follow suit. When you withdraw your attention, you stop being at the mercy of people's whims. You gain control over your own life and the energy you give to others. And in doing so, you command the respect that comes from being a person who knows their worth, who respects their own time, and who does not bend to every demand. By doing this, you teach others how to treat you. And when they see that you are someone who values themselves, they will naturally learn to value you in return. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the hardest lessons to learn in life is that when someone hurts you, it's not about them. It's never been about them. It's about you and how you choose to respond. Too many people waste their time trying to fix things that were never meant to be fixed, or trying to break down every single action, every word, every gesture that was ever thrown at them. And in that process, they forget the most important thing, themselves. When life knocks you down, when someone walks out or betrays your trust, don't waste your energy focusing on breaking down what went wrong or analyzing how things could have been different. That's a trap. You'll find yourself stuck in a cycle of self-pity, resentment, and regret. The only thing that will come from that is more pain. You can't heal by holding on to the pain. You can't move forward by obsessing over the past. And yet, so many people choose to spend months, years even, broken by something that happened to them, instead of choosing to build themselves up again. I want you to hear this clearly. The only way to heal is to move forward, not to stay stuck in the wreckage. Stop looking back at the pieces of your life and wondering how you could have glued them back together. Instead, start focusing on what you're going to build next. Focus on the person you want to become. Stop feeding the pain. Stop living in the past. What you need is not to break down every conversation or event. What you need is to build a life that makes the pain irrelevant. Because when you focus on building yourself, you begin to see that the things that hurt you no longer have the power to define you. They no longer have control over your future. Think about it. When you start focusing on your own growth, whether that means improving your health, your career, your mindset, or your relationships with people who truly value you, the things that used to drag you down lose their grip on you. They lose their power over your life. You start to become so consumed with your own potential, your own dreams, and your own happiness that you don't have time to stay stuck in the darkness of someone else's actions. You realize that your life, your peace, your success are more important than whatever drama or heartbreak someone else tried to bring into it. You'll find that there's so much power in making yourself a priority. Too often people pour their energy into others or into things that never really served them. And when those things fall apart, They're left with nothing but the broken pieces of something that was never truly meant for them. But when you focus on building yourself, you create a foundation of strength that no one can take away from you. You build something lasting and real, something that will never break down, because it's built on self-love, self-respect, and the understanding that you are enough. This process doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. It takes effort. But the beauty of it is that when you decide to focus on your growth, you begin to attract the right people, the right opportunities, and the right circumstances into your life. Because people are drawn to those who have secure in themselves. People are drawn to those who have built something real, something solid. When you focus on becoming the best version of yourself, you stop chasing after things that are meant to leave. You stop trying to hold on to situations or people that aren't aligned with who you are becoming. You stop looking for validation from others and instead give that validation to yourself. And while you're building, you'll notice something incredible. As you pour more energy into your own growth, you become less bothered by what others are doing. Their words, their actions, their decisions no longer hold the power to disrupt your peace. You begin to rise above the noise and you realize that you don't need anyone else to validate your worth. You validate yourself. And that is what makes you unstoppable. When you focus on building yourself, you create a future where you control the narrative. The people who once brought you down or tried to make you feel small won't even be able to touch the life you're creating. And that, my friends, is how you turn pain into power. By choosing not to break down and by choosing instead to build yourself, you become someone who not only survives, but thrives. You become someone who no longer depends on external forces for happiness. You create your own happiness, your own success, your own joy. And the beautiful thing about building yourself is that you don't have to wait for anyone's permission. You don't have to wait for a perfect situation, a perfect partner, or a perfect moment. You get to decide right now to put in the work and focus on what you can control, yourself. And once you do that, you'll see that nothing can stand in your way, nothing can stop you. The life you've always dreamed of will be within reach. Because the only thing that ever really held you back was your own choice to stay stuck. Once you make the decision to build, you start moving forward, and there's no looking back. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the most powerful truths in life is that people will always value what they fear losing. It's a simple yet profound reality. Think about it for a moment. How many times have you heard someone say they didn't realize what they had until it was gone? Or how often have you seen people scramble to regain something they once took for granted? It happens more often than we care to admit. And it's not just about material things. It's about people, relationships, opportunities. Anything that holds real value, when people realize they might lose it, they suddenly begin to understand its true worth. What many don't understand is that this principle applies to every aspect of life. People only start valuing you, your time, and your presence when they are faced with the possibility of losing it. You see, when you're always available, always present, always giving, it becomes easy for others to take you for granted. They believe you'll always be there when they need you, that they can treat you however they want, and that your loyalty, your love, your kindness will be a constant fixture. But the moment you begin to pull back, the moment you stop being as available as accessible, or as forgiving, that's when they realize they've been taking you for granted. And that's when the fear of loss kicks in. Now, this doesn't mean you should manipulate others or play games. It's not about making someone chase you out of insecurity or ego. It's simply about recognizing that you deserve to be valued, that you deserve respect, and that you have the power to take your attention and energy elsewhere if it's not being reciprocated. People are quick to undervalue what they think they have forever. They believe they can take it, abuse it, and still expect it to be there. But when you take a step back, when you start focusing on yourself and your own growth, that's when they begin to realize just how much they've lost. This fear of losing something is powerful. It shifts perspectives, creates urgency, and forces people to evaluate their actions. It's almost like a wake-up call for them, one they may not have realized they needed. People start to look at you differently when they fear that they might not have you in their lives anymore. It brings clarity to their mind and forces them to understand the value of what they took for granted. The truth is, the moment you make yourself less available, you stop allowing others to take you for granted, they begin to see you differently. They start to appreciate your presence more. They realize how much they've come to rely on you, and just as importantly, how much they fear losing that connection. And that fear, ladies and gentlemen, is often the catalyst for change. It's the very thing that compels people to stop taking you for granted and start treating you with the respect and care you deserve. But here's the key. This fear of loss only works when you value yourself enough to step back. If you don't believe you deserve to be valued, then you'll continue to put others first. You'll continue to pour all your energy into them without ever taking a moment to focus on your own worth. You'll allow others to treat you like an option, always waiting for them to decide when you matter. But when you realize that your presence, your time, your energy are precious, you stop allowing others to dictate your value. When people fear losing you, they begin to reevaluate their behavior. They see your worth through a clearer lens. And the moment they realize they might lose something they care about, that's when they start showing up differently. They begin to give more, to put in effort, to respect your time, and to cherish your presence. And while this may seem like a game, it's actually a form of self-preservation. You're not manipulating anyone. You're simply honoring your own value and setting boundaries that make it clear that you are not someone to be taken for granted. It's a powerful realization that when you stop chasing, when you stop giving all your attention, when you stop being so available, you make people recognize your worth. They begin to fear losing you. And in that fear, they will start treating you better. So don't be afraid to take a step back. Don't be afraid to withdraw your energy when it's not being appreciated. People will value what they fear losing. And when they realize that you're no longer just a given in their lives, they will start to appreciate you in ways they never did before. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a moment in everyone's life when they realize that the more they chase after something, the further it slips away. Whether it's love, success, recognition, or happiness, the harder you chase it, the more elusive it becomes. It's a paradox that many of us have experienced at some point. The more you chase something, the more desperate you become, and that desperation repels what you're trying to attract. You become so focused on the outcome, so consumed by the idea of having it that you lose sight of the most important thing, yourself. The moment you stop chasing, everything changes. It's as if the universe shifts in your favor. You stop forcing things, stop pushing so hard, and suddenly everything you've been striving for starts to come to you naturally. It's not because you've stopped caring about your goals or stopped working for them. No, it's because you've stopped chasing them from a place of desperation. When you let go of that frantic energy, when you stop trying to control every detail and start trusting that the right things will fall into place at the right time, you begin to experience life in a completely different way. Think about the times when you've been so determined to get something, to make something happen, that you became frustrated when it didn't go your way. The more you chased, the more it seemed like it was just out of reach. The more you overthought, overworked, and overobsessed, the more you pushed it away. And that's because energy works in mysterious ways. When you operate from a place of lack, from a place of needing something to feel complete, you radiate that lack to the world. You begin to send out the message that you don't have what you need. And guess what? The world reflects that back to you. When you act like you need something, it runs from you. But when you stop chasing, when you finally understand that everything you need is already within you, that's when everything you've been waiting for comes rushing towards you. This is a fundamental shift in mindset. It's about understanding that your happiness, your success, your fulfillment don't depend on anyone else's actions or the things you're chasing. They come from within you. When you focus on being the best version of yourself, when you stop worrying about whether or not you'll get what you want, you start to live a life of abundance. You no longer feel the need to chase because you already know that the right opportunities, the right people, and the right circumstances will show up when the time is right. The key to this is trust. You have to trust that everything you want is already on its way to you. You have to trust that the right job will come, the right partner will find you, the right friendships will develop, and the right opportunities will appear. But trust only works when you let go of control. When you let go of trying to manipulate every outcome, you create space for the universe to deliver what you've been seeking. Trust that things are happening for you, not to you. Trust that everything you're going through, every obstacle you face, is part of the process that's leading you to what you've been asking for. When you stop chasing, you also stop putting pressure on yourself. You stop living in a constant state of urgency. You stop thinking that time is running out. And when you stop thinking this way, you begin to relax into life. You begin to enjoy the journey, not just focus on the destination. And in doing so, you open yourself up to receiving all the good things that life has to. Instead of trying to make things happen, you allow them to happen naturally. And that's when life becomes easier, more peaceful, and more fulfilling. This doesn't mean you stop working hard or stop pursuing your dreams. It doesn't mean you give up on your goals. What it means is that you stop forcing things. You stop trying to make things fit where they don't belong. You stop attaching your happiness to any one outcome and start enjoying the process of becoming the person you were always meant to be. When you focus on growth, on learning, on self-improvement, the right things will come to you, and they will come at the right time. So if you're tired of chasing, if you're tired of feeling like things are always just out of your reach, remember this. The moment you stop chasing, everything you want will come to you. Trust that what's meant for you will never pass you by. Let go of the need for control and allow life to unfold in its own perfect way. When you stop chasing, you make room for everything you've been waiting for to find you. And that, my friends, is when the magic happens.